Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello and good evening. Welcome everyone. So glad to be back here again, Sunday 6 p.m. for the daily prayer program. My name is Teresa Castro and I am the host. Very grateful, very blessed, very humbled, very honored to be here. Thank you so much. Hey, John DeRosa. So, how's the music sound, John? All right, we're going to take that as that the music sounds okay. Good evening, Abby. Welcome. Nice to see you. And Betsy, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And John tells us that the music is good. So good to hear that. So this evening, thank you, Abby. Thank you. I'm always a little bit nervous about the music. It's hard to monitor. Hello, Slavic. Welcome. Nice to have you here with us this evening. So this evening, before our prayer, we are going to read out of the Gospel. And this is in chapter 15, and it is on the parable of the Good Samaritan. And as a part of that, what happens beforehand is Jesus is asked, who is my neighbor? Because the discussion was centered around, the Pharisees were always testing Jesus. They were always trying to trip him up. So I'll just read the whole passage. Now, this passage comes from Luke. It's chapter 10 in the New Testament, and it's verse 25 to 37. So a doctor of the law stood up and said to him, Jesus, in order to test him, Master, what must I do to possess eternal life? And Jesus answered him, what is it that is written in the law? What have you read in it? And the doctor of the law responded, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said to him, you have answered well. So do this and you shall live. However, wanting to appear to be righteous, the man said to Jesus, and who is my neighbor? And Jesus answering him said, he tells the parable. A certain man was coming down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of thieves, who stripped him of his clothes, covered him with wounds, and left him half dead. Afterwards, it was just so happened that a priest was coming down by the same way, and having noticed him, passed him by on the other side. A Levite, who also came to the same spot, saw him, but passed by on the other side. But when a Samaritan who was on a journey came to where the man was and saw him, he was touched with great compassion. He approached him and poured oil and wine on his wounds and bandaged them, and putting him on his own animal, took him to an inn and cared for him. The following day, he took 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper, saying, take good care of this man, and whatever more you spend, I will repay you when I return. So then Jesus looks at them. Hi, Tony. Thank you for signing in. Nice to have you this evening. We are reading the parable of the Good Samaritan. So Jesus, when he finishes the parable, he says, which of these 3 seems to you to have been the neighbor of the one who fell into the hands of the thieves? The doctor of the law responded to him, the one who showed compassion on him. Jesus said to him, go and do likewise. So this is one of many teachings of Jesus about morals. And what we see in this parable is the virtue of charity. And we all know that we're talking about the moral charity, okay, which is benevolence, goodwill to all, indulgence, overlooking people's imperfections, and forgiveness of offenses. We can see that Jesus is an excellent educator because he doesn't impose the answers. They ask the questions and he doesn't, say, oh, here's the answer. No, he very skillfully brings the question back to them. And by doing this, he actually, because he asked them, so you tell me which one is the neighbor. That was the question they posed to him. So by doing this, not only does he empower the other person by them finding their own answer, but he is able to teach us what it means to be neighborly. So he's a beautiful educator, right? We can all learn much by this. We're too anxious to throw answers and show how right we are and how smart we are. And Jesus doesn't do this. And of course, the parable in itself teaches us so many things. I think the first thing that it teaches us that Jesus was the message he was relaying was, you don't need to have titles to help other people. So the priest, the Pharisee walked by. Hello, Veronica. Thank you for joining. We are talking about the parable of the Good Samaritan. And so Jesus, he uses a Pharisee or the priest as one of the people who walk by. And he also uses a Levite. And we know the Levites were assistants to the priests in the temple. So he's pointing out that these two people very much know the law, but yet they did not extend charity to someone in need. And then he even goes further by using a Samaritan as the person who does help the injured man. And at that time, the Samaritans were looked down upon. They were not regarded as highly educated or, they just weren't they were citizens that were not highly regarded. So Jesus is really driving home that point that we don't need to have titles to be helpful. And the other point is Jesus never tells us the injured man. We never have any idea of what his status was, what his titles was, his heritage, his religious belief. And I think the point is that it doesn't matter, that charity is about unconditional love, that it's helping and it's doing good for the sake of good, not for reward, not for accolades, not for reimbursement. We can also take away from this story that Jesus is showing to us that our neighbor is that person that's in front of us, that person that needs the help, that we don't need to, be exclusive on who we will help and who we won't help. And it's also a story reminding us what charity really is, that charity is a moral obligation. It is a duty, all right? It is the law of love. So when we think, it's an optional, we can give charity or not, we really need to understand the gospel better because it is a law. It is the law of love. Yes, we have our will and we can decide and make choices. And it does require the use of our will in doing charity. However, it is a law and there are consequences. And they tell us in the Spirit's book, I believe it's 642, that they say we will be responsible for all the good that is left undone, the result that happens from the good we don't do and the after effect of that, we will be responsible. We will be held accountable. So we can really understand charity to me is giving from our essence. It's not giving from our extra. And the spirits tell us, now this type of moral charity does not negate material charity. It is important to help people with their physical discomfort and don't make donations and, you know, help the homeless with physical materials. But we also need to remember the moral obligation that we have, and that is to help each other. So we can understand this law of love in a nutshell as we remember the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. So it's Emmanuel breaks it down for us very easily when he says, seek the good, feel the good, visualize the good, mold the good. All right? Because this is the way that we can actually liberate ourselves. And this is the reason for the maxim, without charity there is no salvation. And what is salvation? It's freedom. And so we can see that if we, like Emmanuel tells us in Thought in Life, chapter 10, he says, if you want to free yourselves from the handcuffs, the shackles of the evil we have caused, the way to do it is to seek, feel, visualize, and mold goodness with all the resources at hand. So I think it's also good for us to understand that we are told by the spirits in many different places in the spirits book, there's at least 4 different questions that they give us the phrase, all of nature is interconnected. And so they are reminding us that we are interconnected, and the way that we're going to transform our world into one of regeneration and move out of expiation and trials is as we help each other. So we have to let go of all the competitiveness and the me, my, and mine, and become other-centered and help our brothers and sisters. That this is not going to be, all about a competition. That I'm going to get to the world of regeneration and you're not. And no, we are all interconnected. All of nature is linked together, and so we're going to get out of here by helping each other. That's the way it's going to be. And so this is why Kardec devotes a whole chapter 15 in the Gospel, on charity, and how there is charity. Without charity, there is no salvation. So teaching us of how we can free ourselves and help to transform the world. So now we can go into our prayer and let this idea of charity in its true sense, of goodwill toward all, indulgence of others' imperfections, and forgiveness toward offenses. So I invite you all to close your eyes if you can. We are told as we close our eyes, we better use our prefrontal cortex. Of course, if you're driving or this isn't safe, please do not close your eyes. And let us relax our bodies. And as we remain in this elevated state, elevated thoughts, we say hello to our mentors and all the spirits who have gathered here with us. And we say thank you to Allan Kardec, Emmanuel, Chico Xavier, Andre Louise, Joanna DeAngelis, and all the elevated spirits who have worked so diligently to help us in our transition as we push forward into helping our world regenerate, coming to better understand God's laws so that we may implore them, put them to use. Mother, Father, God, we present ourselves here singing praises in your name, thanking you for the beautiful planet, the temporary home you have given us, in order that we may have this place to help ourselves become more like you, learning and experiencing that which will help us in our evolutionary progress. And we are grateful for Jesus' teachings in helping us to better understand the law of love. And it is within this law that we recognize each other as brothers and sisters in the universal family. And let us recognize our moral duty in helping each other. And thus, we help the planet to transform to a higher world. And remembering our brothers and sisters who currently are facing harsh trials, who have more need than ourselves, we ask that your divine light and love may reach their hearts, and they may become more receptive to this love that they are surrounded by, more receptive to the inspiration given by their guides, guardian spirits, benefactors, and that they may be more receptive to that helping hand coming their way. Let us be fierce in our determination, our effort, in our own progress, that we may follow in the footsteps of Jesus and extending help to all. Let us be more brave, more courageous, more firm in our giving, knowing that it is the love of law, the law of love. And we are very grateful for this Kardec radio platform, that we may all continue to nourish our souls and continue in our studies, so we may be better instruments in helping to fulfill your divine will. And so, with your blessing, we ask permission to close this prayer study. And so be it. And so it is, my friends, so it is. Let us go forward into our week, remembering the parable of the Good Samaritan. And let us remember that that person in front of us is either our teacher or our student. Either way, let us think of how we can shed good and help somebody else. Thank you so much all for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. God bless. Be happy, be healthy, and be safe.